So my name is Ed Frawley. I own Leerburg, and we are lucky enough today to have Travis Olson, who owns Keeper Collars, come and visit us, stop by specifically to do this video because we have new customers all the time. We have people that are rescuing dogs, people that are getting into dogs right off the bat. And we're going to talk to Travis about what the Keeper Collar is, how it works, how it was designed, and then we're going to show the different types of Keeper Collars and how to measure a dog for a Keeper Collar, because we've been selling them here at Leerburg. I just talked to Travis and we couldn't remember because it's been so long ago. I know that it's over 10 years. And
it has been a while now.
One of our best products that we sell. And we have his dog, Kaya?
Taya.
I want to call her Kaya because that's my secretary's name. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Kaya? She's what did you say?
She's a Belgian Malinois rescue from the American Belgian Malinois Rescue Association.
Uh-huh.
Rescue Mals have always been an important part of our company, and she was from the fires out by Paradise, California, back quite a few years ago now.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Keeper Collars? Why don't you explain them in case there's people that are coming to this video and they think, Keeper Collar? What's a Keeper Collar? Why don't you explain it?
Well, everyone looks at a prong collar and goes, oh no, those are so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know they're not. You actually appreciate it because you understand what the purpose is. And the purpose is simulating the dog's natural instinct. Because when a dog's a puppy, mom tells the dog what to do and what not to do with her teeth. And that's all a Keeper Collar is using prongs to simulate mom's touch. It's not a punishment tool. It's a psychological tool used to simulate mouthing. And in a dog, like a wolf pack, mouthing is one of their lead forms of communication. Us humans, we use our vocals a lot. Out in the wild, they don't want to use their vocals because it'll scare all the prey away. Mm-hmm. They want to use body language and touch. Mm-hmm. And this is our way of learning to speak dog. We make dogs learn all sorts of English. This is the least we can do to learn how to speak a little bit of dog.
I like it. Good. You know, a lot of people, and for years,
good girl.
For years, I've defined prong collars as power steering on dogs. Mm-hmm. And when people move into prong collars off of a choke chain, they don't understand how to use them, when to use them. Most people come into the world of prong collars and they overuse them.
Absolutely.
And they don't need to do it.
No, a lot of people think I got to make a correction.
Yeah.
But I like to tell people it's more like Morse code. Tap, 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 tap,
exactly.
Tap, tap, tap. Because you're simulating mouthing.
And the dogs respond to it. And like anything, I don't care what product you're talking about in dog training, they can be abused. Mm-hmm. You know, prong collars can be abused. But those people that, in my opinion, that don't abuse them, learn how to have a well-trained dog.
Yeah, it's just remembering the principle. Like right now, I can pet Taya behind the ears, give her a scratch. I'm using my nails. Mm-hmm. All I'm doing is simulating teeth, mouthing, giving snibbles behind the ears.
And I tell people, mm-hmm. before you even get into this, people that have prong collars need to realize that one of the weaknesses in a prong collar is that these prongs can come apart. When do they come apart? I'll tell you when. They come apart when you give a dog a correction and the prong collar is not fit properly on the dog's neck. And the beauty of Keeper Collars, they don't come apart.
No.
They don't come apart. You don't need a backup collar with a Keeper Collar.
No.
It's an absolute safe way to train with a dog. That's why it's one of our best sellers.
Even down to the plastic buckle we use.
Yeah.
When we were trying to figure out what brand of buckles to use, I borrowed a friend's engine hoist and spent an entire day breaking buckles by different brands because I wanted to make sure I had the strongest buckles I could put on a collar.
Yeah.
I didn't want something cheap. I wanted an actual quality buckle to put it, just like all the components of our collar.
You can go over to China or whatever. You can go to Petco and these places, and they have these nylon collars with these buckles on them, and they're just cheap plastic, and they break. And until I met you folks, I didn't even know that you can buy a snap collar that really can stand a lot of pressure.
Absolutely, and a lot of companies will save money and put on the wrong buckle. They'll put on a safety buckle, one that's designed to come loose under a certain amount of pressure because it's made for a backpack or a hip sack. So a child doesn't get caught in a tree or under a bus. They have a purpose, but on a dog collar isn't the right place for a buckle like that.
I thought I read or was talking to, maybe it was Sue, your mother, and was talking about how this buckle is rated. Do you know the pounds of?
Well, when we tested it, they held different amounts, but pretty much they held between 250 and 350 pounds.
That's what I thought, that I remembered Sue saying. That's a strong. I don't bet you can't find a strap collar, a nylon strap collar, anywhere made by anyone that has that kind of strength in the snap.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, how long does it take to make one of these things from scratch? How much labor goes into it? This has to take a long time to put together.
It does.
How long?
Taya's wearing one right here.
Yeah.
So each one of these has so many different parts to it.
Yeah.
And each part takes a different stage, different sewing machine,
Yeah.
different operations. So every one of these collars, there's hours involved into producing every single one.
I knew there had to be a long time. And I think that's the reason that you can have people that have tried. I mean, I've seen them try, and I've seen some that have come out of China, and I've seen people try and make covers that go over the standard prong like this. And quite frankly, it's just ridiculous. I don't think you're going to see.
No one else wants to go through all the stages that we go through to produce this collar.
To spend hours
Absolutely.
on one collar. So people wonder, why is it so expensive?
We could save a lot of money by hiring a place in China to produce it, but making it in our shop in Minnesota, where we can hire really good people who are really good seamstresses and sewers to produce a quality product, and where we can control the quality of the webbing, the quality of the leather, the quality of the buckles, even down to the quality of the elastic that we use. We can control every element of that to help produce the best collar we can.
And we sell a lot of these. And I can't even remember when we got a complaint about the quality on a keeper collar. It may never have happened. If it happened, I never heard about it.
They're produced by humans, so human stuff happens, but it's our attention to detail that we try and take a high amount of pride in.
I think this is a collar that someone could buy and use on their dog, and the next dog, and the next dog, and the next dog. I think this could be a product that could be a lifetime.
Well, like a quality pair of boots. Nothing lasts forever, but we want to make something that can last as long as we can make it.
Exactly. And you mentioned you make them, your business is based out of Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool, which is only about 80 miles from here. Then why don't you explain how it's designed on the inside?
All right. Everything we want to do is reinforced, even down to the way the prongs are secured. The elastic that holds our prongs is wrapped all the way around this inner liner here and sewn through in the front side and in the back side. So this piece of elastic can't come out.
Explain that again. So that piece of elastic then, this piece of elastic
is wrapped all the way around this inner liner. And then that inner liner is sewn to the leather. And then both of those are sewn to the spine of the collar, or what we call the hull. And that's the actual strength of the collar, is this outer part. It's a military grade webbing,
Okay.
and that's rated to over 1,000 pounds.
So basically what you're saying, when you do this, you take this strap that's going to hold the prong in place.
Yes.
And you wrap it around this, and what is this?
Well, that's just a good nylon webbing. It's designed to be soft so it can move with the collar. That's why it's out of a different material, because it needs to be a pliable material
It
to
really
help
is.
give the collar the flexibility.
This is not,
We've gone
a
through-
stiff collar
No,
at all. It's
no.
very pliable.
We want it to be able to move because we don't want it to be stiff. We're trying to simulate mouthing.
So you can even take this prong and you can pull it like this, so that what you're saying is that these wraps that hold the prong here are sewn into this, or are they just threaded through that?
Nope, they're wrapped all the way around this tan piece of material.
Okay, and then that is sewn
That's
to the
sewn
outer.
to the leather, and then both of those are sewn again to the hull. So lots of extra layers just to help create the most durable product we can.
Okay.
It's the keeper collar's gone through lots of iterations and lots of versions to create the strongest and best product we can create to help people train their dogs.
How did you guys ever think of this?
Well,
How long have you been doing it?
we've been doing this for well over 17 years. It all leads back to a rescue Malinois that my mom had gotten. This dog had been abused. She had been beaten. She was just tore up. We don't know exactly what all she had been through. But when she was brought to our house by the Rescue Association, she just curled up in a ball shaking. And we contacted trainers and behavioralists and trying to figure out, how do we save this dog's life? And everyone said, well, we have to use a prong collar to help bring the dog back to its instinct, help it become a dog again. That made sense, but we couldn't mess around with links on a dog that had been beaten. The poor dog was head shy. So my mom created the very first one, which was a really simple one. And when we put it on her, without even a leash on it, her tail came untucked. Not because she felt teeth that were attacking her. She felt teeth that weren't attacking her. So she was able to go, Mom, and she felt safe. That dog's name was I'm a Keeper. She taught us so much about dog psychology. That's why her name is on all of our collars. That's why we
What's
are
her
Keeper
name?
collars. The dog's name was I'm a Keeper. And that's
love
why
it.
we are Keeper collars.
I didn't know that.
We're a company created by a dog, so our company mission is to help dogs.
I always have seen that on here and never understood what it was. I love it. So now let's talk one more thing. Each of these keeper collars, you can adjust them. Why don't you explain how you can adjust them and how much adjustment is in it?
Okay. Well, the size on the collar, like right here, I'm holding a 15.
How do you know that?
Well, I've got the size written there. Or the
Oh,
other
there you
way,
go. Right
on
here.
a regular size collar, is if I want to know the size, I can count the number of elastic straps. Like this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus 3 makes it 15.
Ah, I learned something that I didn't even know. I like
Now that works
Count
on
the
all of
elastic straps and add 3 to it.
Exactly.
And then you know which one. So if you have a dog or multiple dogs and multiple keeper collars, if you make the mistake of buying them in the same color, you're going
Exactly.
to have to learn how to count these
Learn
things.
which one's which.
Yeah.
Now that works on our regular size prong.
Yeah.
That system doesn't work on the long-coated, larger prongs.
Yeah, and we can talk about that
Yeah.
in a second. So
But
that's pretty cool.
The size on the collar, like this is a 15, is the minimum size. So it cannot get any smaller than a 15 because it
Okay.
has to have enough room to manipulate, to simulate the mouthing.
So that's the key then.
Yes,
You
the
buy
size
a collar
is
based on
the
the
minimum.
and that's the small. You can't make a 15 go to a 13.
No.
But you can make it go bigger by how many inches? 3, did you say?
There's 2 inches, over 2 inches of adjustment to let out. So I tell people that a 15 can become a 17.
Okay.
It can get that much bigger.
Okay, that's good to know.
But the size on the collar is the minimum size. So if your dog measures at 14 3/4, round down to a 14. Don't get the 15.
Gotcha. That's a good way to look at it. And we'll talk about it too when we measure
Absolutely.
the white dog here too.
And the other thing that you can do is some dogs have a larger trachea.
Right.
And all of our collars have a gap for the trachea.
Yeah.
Because mom may play at the dog's trachea, but she'll never discipline her puppies there. That's where another dog goes in for an attack. And that's one thing I don't like about the collars that go all the way around. They send mixed signals. The collars, the prongs up high say, hey, pay attention. And these say, hey, I'm attacking you. So we remove the ones down low to get rid of the mixed signals. And sometimes there's a dog with a larger trachea, needs a little more room. So you can remove a prong.
So you just took a prong out that quick?
Absolutely. It just weaves right in and then snaps through.
There you go.
Now prongs,
you make it easy.
Well,
it is
prongs
easy.
Do come apart really easy. That's why on a regular chain style prong collar, you should have the jumper to connect it. And with ours, you don't need that, because if it's on your dog and a prong comes loose, well, the prong's loose, but you still have your dog.
Yep.
Not
you
running
call
out
it a jumper, I call it a backup collar.
Yes.
Okay. And that's very important. Now, what size prongs do you use?
We use a prong that's equivalent to the Springer small.
You're talking about Herm Springer
Yep,
here.
absolutely.
The small Herm Springer?
Yes, the prongs are measured in diameter of the wire.
Right.
So not dimension between, it's the thickness of the wire. So theirs is a 2.25, ours is 2.3, so virtually the same thing. Ours interlock with the Herb Springer prongs.
And you said yours measures very, very close to a Herm Springer small.
Yes.
And what about for the larger?
Well, those measure very close to a Springer medium.
Okay.
So
and what size are these?
I think those are 3.2 millimeters thick.
Why don't you explain the difference between that one and this one then?
Well, this is the prong size I recommend for 95% of dogs.
Okay.
Because the prongs are, all they're trying to do is simulate mom's touch, and these are the closest to being the size of mom's teeth. And then you get more points of distribution with a smaller prong, so you're not risking any injury, especially if you need a smaller collar. Now with the thicker one, the only time I ever recommend those is if your dog has such a thick lion's mane of hair that these wouldn't penetrate through.
Gotcha.
Then you would, that's when the only time I recommend increasing to the larger.
You know, when people get involved with some of the working dogs, and we'll use the example of a Rottweiler and even German Shepherds or Malinois, they think, oh, I need to get the big ones. I need to get the extra large ones. No, you do not get those. It's just, it's a bad idea to begin with, and they're not as responsive to a really large link. And if this is medium, we sell the extra large ones because if somebody wants them, we're going to sell them. At least we sell a good one.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you ask us what we use with our own personal dogs, it's this in the small links.
Yes.
Which is basically what it is. Cool.
One of the largest benefits behind using a covered prong collar is that when you're out in public, you can just work your dog. You don't get accosted by somebody else walking by telling you that you're evil for using something so scary on your dog.
And don't kid yourself that it doesn't happen, because it happens all the time. And these are people that are clueless about dog training.
Yeah.
And it's basically, and the unfortunate thing is, there are some of these animal rights people that it convinced some governments to outlaw prong collars. This is like the Dumb and Dumber working in the dog industry.
Yeah,
it
it's
truly
the
is.
sad side of politics.
It is. It's that, and I'll even extend it to remote collars, because this and remote collars can be used incorrectly. Remote collars are probably used more often incorrectly, and it just doesn't make any sense.
They're easier to misunderstand. Yeah.
Misunderstand, and how do you train the public? We do everything we can, but there's still going to be dummies out there.
Yeah, education isn't the easy way, even though it is the right way.
And while we call this a keeper collar, it's basically also a hidden prong collar.
Exactly. So when you're out working your dog, you can just work your dog. You don't have to explain to everyone that this is more humane than letting a dog strangle itself on a flat collar and damage its trachea, because we leave that gap for the trachea.
Once, I don't know when I did this, I think 25 years ago, I would try to explain to people the difference between a choke collar and a prong collar. So in my dumber days, it was in the summer, and I had a pair of shorts on, and I put a prong collar on my leg and asked my son to give me a good pop on it, and he gave me a good pop on it. Then I put a choke collar on my leg, and I asked him to give me a good pop on it. And all of the pressure in a choke collar comes to one spot where it cinches down, and I had a big round bruise there. Never get a bruise from wearing these, from a prong collar. And that's the thing that people just don't understand.
Yeah, just like the trick of that they use in the circus of being able to lay on a bed of nails. If there's enough points to distribute, it doesn't puncture.
Right.
You're just simulating mom's touch.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it a lot. So I've asked Travis to show us how to measure a dog for a keeper collar. We'll first show how to do it with Kaya, otherwise known as Kaya. Kaya? I like Kaya. I like Kaya too. She's beautiful.
Yeah,
so show
my
how
kids
you
wanted to name her Valkyrie, but that's a title, not a name. So
there you go.
We tried to come up with a good Norwegian name.
There you go. So we'll do it on Kaya first, and then we'll get the dummy over here. And we'll do both to show how to get the right size collar.
All right, sounds good. As far as measurement, there's two different types of collars that I like to tell people. There's a working collar that's worn up high and tight, and then there's a daily collar, something that will ride a lot down lower, and that'll be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches larger than what a working collar is, because it's very important that we keep it up high and tight to help use the psychology behind being a dog. Dogs communicate with each other by nipping each other up high to tell them what to do. Now I'm going to take hers off of her for a moment and show how we measure. I've got this right here, and Taya is a 14. I pull high and tight just under the jaw, behind the ears, and I want to make sure I get good and tight, and she is a 14. Again, up high and tight, not down low. Here, I'll make a measurement. She's an 18 down low, and if I order an 18-inch keeper collar, that'll be way too big. It'll just slide down her neck. So I need it to be up where it needs to fit.
Okay.
Good girl.
Okay, so now we're going to do Victoria.
All right, we got our lovely model Victoria here. Again, under the jaw, behind the ears, up high and tight is where we want to measure. Under the jaw, high and tight, behind the ears. Here I come to 18 3/4, really close to 19. If you order a 19, it will be too big because it'll never tighten up enough. Always round down to the nearest inch. So on this dog, I would order an 18. Again, if you try and go down low, here we're over 20 inches. So make sure you measure high and tight where you want the collar to be. I'm under 19, so 18-inch collar.
Now for the second collar on that one, what would you use?
On a second collar, down low, I would keep it about where I want the collar to ride. And, well, here we're just under 20 inches, so
Okay.
I'd get about a 20-inch collar on this dog.
Okay, perfect. So Travis, why don't you
Yes.
walk us through the different options we have? Talk about the different colors.
Well, you got a whole crayon box of colors here.
I know, it's cool. That's why we sell so much. That's
A lot
good
of
thing.
people with dogs that are intimidating, I recommend putting bright colors on those dogs because it makes their dogs look less intimidating.
I agree.
Now, as far as the different styles, we got all sorts of different sizes, which because we offer by 1-inch increments, you can have a dog or a collar that's custom for your dog and still have that 2 inches of adjustment in it. And notice all of them have that trachea gap that can help preserve and save your dog's trachea. Now, one of the biggest differences I see here between the ones that you brought out for me today is the buckles. A lot of these have our great plastic buckles, which are strong, but some people have had bad luck with other buckles and just need something a little stronger. Some people have dogs that are larger and they, for other reasons, just need that extra strength. So the first thing that we produced, over 12 years ago, we started offering a leather strap and buckle, which is a great strong option because nice, good, thick piece of leather, made well. We cut these out of whole cow hides. So we're able to choose the correct parts of the cow to use for this, not using an armpit or something near the stomach that would stretch. The disadvantage with these is in a 16, if I find another 16 right here, if you order the leather strap and buckle, you'll notice that to get this upgrade, you lose one prong. There's one prong that you're going to lose by upgrading to this because the mechanism takes up that much more room. So we were always trying to find a better option. Then we came across the Cobra buckles, the actual Austrian-made Alpine Cobra buckles, not a knockoff. There are lots of knockoffs out there.
I know.
These are actually rated for 2,600 pounds.
I know a few people that have dogs that are not quite that bad,
But
they need a diet.
It's nice to have a buckle that you never need to worry about.
Right.
If you want peace of mind, the Cobra buckle gives you all the peace of mind. The only disadvantage that the Cobra buckle has is it is a little heavier.
And it costs a fortune.
Well, yeah, it does cost a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A bit more.
Something that's rated for that much weight.
No, it's a
It
good
even
buckle.
lists in kilonewtons how the buckle's rated.
I just think they are a cool buckle.
They are amazing.
They really are.
A lot of our military vets love them
Yep.
because they find it easier to release
Absolutely.
than the plastic buckles. Plastic buckles we use have nice big tabs, but
These are
there's-
easier.
Yeah, just a little bit easier with those brass tabs.
I am not a fan of quick release buckles on a prong collar, but I don't consider this a quick release.
No, because
It
if
is
you
not a
release
quick
just
release.
one side,
Yeah, it won't go.
it won't come apart.
Yeah,
If
yep.
anything, it resets itself
Yep.
until you release both. And it will not release if there's pressure on it. You
Right.
have to take the pressure off to release it.
No, that's a good deal. Okay.
And the last difference would be, again, with the prong size. We've got what we use as a regular size prong, which is It's on most of the collars here because it's used on most dogs. But occasionally you have a very long coated dog, and that would be the only time that you would need our large prong.
We don't sell a lot of them.
No.
And I'm glad there's a way, because most people don't need them.
No.
And I would rather see them buy the right size.
Absolutely.
Because if so many people buy the wrong size, they're not going to be as happy with it as they could have been with the right size prong and the right size collar. So this is going to be a big, big help for us, for not only my staff to help explain to people, but the video is going to show people too how to measure their dog and how to pick one of these that they want to use.
Absolutely.
It's a good deal. I can't think of anything else we should go over, have you?
I think we pretty much covered most of it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Very good.